Okay, so this is just a little demonstration of how oppression, all types of oppression, divides all of us from each other. And so the main function that all oppressions have in common is that it divides people. And there's all these different forms of oppression, right? There's racism, there's sexism, there's oppression based on religion, like anti-Semitism, or class, all these different forms of oppression. So let's give a little example here. So here's humanity. All humans on the planet exist on this page. So let's just go ahead and we'll just start with classism. So now we've got three different classes. We've got like upper, middle, and working class. So we're already creating some divisions here. And now we can do some racial divisions. We've got black folks, we've got Asian folks, we've got white folks, we've got Pacific Islander. You know, this is just symbolical. This isn't catching every single version and specific life experience. This is just kind of an example. Okay, so now we've got all these different smaller boxes. Great. So now now we've got women and men. We've got maybe LGBTQ versus not versus, but compared to heterosexual. We've got maybe other gender or sexual preference oppressions. So we're just getting more divisions here. And then we've got some like religious oppressions. So we're getting divided again. There's Muslims and Christians and Jews, and so we're just getting another line there. So as you see, we are getting more and more segmented, and reality is that all people are inherently connected, and that oppression there's no real reason to be divided in reality, but oppression our oppressive systems create these divisions, and unfortunately they actually do divide us in many different ways, even though we'd really rather they don't, and we work really hard to not be divided. But oppression comes in really heavy, and it does divide us in these ways. So all these different oppressions and divisions are just creating lines of separation between people, and eventually you just get more and more of these lines until it feels like your family is just this little box. This one right here, let's say. This is our family. Whether you grew up in a wealthy family, a poor family, a white family, a black family, a Christian or a Jewish or a whatever. Let's just say this is your family, my family. And within our family, now we have these lines of division. So let's make a couple more lines in there. We've got, oppression that exists within our families. Just as all these oppressions divide us on a big scale, they're also existing in our small little family model. There's sexism, there's ageism, right? Probably other forms of oppression too, especially as we get these more and more mixed societies, which is a great thing, but it can be complicated. So in our family unit, we're just adding some more lines, and it gets to the point where basically I'm this little tiny box. So that's me right there, or you, or whoever. Just that one little filled in box in our tiny little family unit. And that's how it can feel. That's what oppression does. It makes us feel like we are completely alone, that we are on our own in the world, or that no one else understands, and that's not true. Truth is that here's what's true. That we're all connected. There's no divisions if we look at what's real. If there wasn't an oppressive society, we would all be connected with no separation. But we also have to acknowledge that we're living in this society, this time. And so we often feel like we're the only one that understands our experience, or that we're by ourselves. And the kind of ironic thing is that everybody feels like that little box. I might feel like that, or you might feel like that, or your brother, or your sister, your mom, your dad, your cousin, your best friend. There's some place where we all feel like we're in that little box by ourselves. And so doing the work of anti-oppression, a lot of it is about breaking down those lines that we've internalized, not to any fault of our own, but growing up in an oppressive society, it's impossible to not internalize, take on a certain amount of those lines of division. And a lot of times they're unconscious. A lot of times they're caused, they're rooted in childhood trauma. And we're often not aware that those lines are even existing or affecting our relationships with each other. So educating ourselves, talking to each other, having these conversations about race or about gender or about sexual preference or religious background or anything, they're super important to have those conversations. And it's also important to look inside at what pain do we carry our internal pain, our emotional trauma and stuff that holds those lines in place. And if we heal whatever therapeutic or healing practices we can find, whatever we use that can help us heal internally, it helps us just break down those walls of division inside of ourselves, which allows us to do the work outside as well. And we need to do both. We need to do the external work and the internal work. They complement each other. So I love this little visual just to give us a sense of what our society wants to do to keep us separate, and that reality we're all totally connected. Thanks.